If there is one thing we can take away from today's show, it is to understand and let people know around you the crucial role of cabin crew, especially in emergency situations. This could help prevent situations like Flight 418 to happen again, and for a shorter evacuation time, we increase chances of survival. Thank you for joining us today. So we've all been on commercial flights, and we see the flight attendant's role is to cater to the needs of the passengers. But what is the official definition of the cabin crew?
As the formal definition of the cabin crew extends beyond considering them only as trolley pusher. Officially, ICAO will recognize a cabin crew member as a crew member who perform in the interest of the safety of the passengers. Duty assigned by the operator or the flight in command of the aircraft, but who shall not act as flight crew members.
So given that there is a formal definition of the cabin crew, what is the official roles and requirements?
Yep. So Chapter 12 of Annex 6 to the Convention on International Civil Aviation covers this requirement. So this includes things like the assignment of emergency duties, cabin crew at emergency evacuation points, and their annual training. This is to ensure that the cabin crew is competent to execute safety duties and functions.
So I'm surprised that the role is heavily based on safety. Can you explain to me why that is?
Because 39 years ago, the United Airlines Flight 173 was a catalyst for the airline industry to focus more heavily on the procedure in the emergency. The NTSB finding highlighted the poor communication level between flight crew and the captain in the emergency situation, leading to development of the cockpit resources management by NASA.
Yeah, so this importance of the cabin crew really came in when Delta Airline addressed it. So that's when the term cockpit resource management changed to what we now know as the crew resource management. This is defined as the management system which makes optimum use of the available resources. So that includes the equipment, the human resource, and also the procedures to promote the safety and to enhance the efficiency of the flight operations.
Go.
We're at Orbit Airlines head office, and joining us now is Natalie, cabin crew manager, and Jason, airline safety manager, to tell us about their role in ensuring safety on board. So Natalie, tell us about your role and the misperceptions passengers have about the cabin crew's job.
There are two roles of cabin crew. The primary and the most important role is to ensure passenger safety, especially in emergency situations. The secondary role is to serve and to take care of passengers during flight. However, there's a misperception that the secondary role is our only role.
Oh, how so?
Cabin crew is perceived as in-flight waiters and waitresses. Although we are not flight crew, we are crew members. We are in the same workplace as the flight crew and we know the aircraft. Therefore, we carry the responsibility to ensure passenger safety.
So Jason, how do you think cabin crew safety and service affects the aviation industry?
The cabin crew's role.
Sorry, okay. So Jason, how do you think the crew's role of safety and service affects the aviation industry?
The cabin crew role affects present-day aviation because it impacts the airlines we work for as well as whether passengers want to fly with us again. Even if there is an airline incident, passengers are more likely to fly with us if they know the cabin crew did their job and ensured the safety of the passengers. Hence, we always have safety as our #1 priority.
So is there any existing research on that?
Well, yes, Murphy in 2001 addresses the contradiction in the role of cabin crew as it involves accommodating the needs of passengers but as well as maintaining order in chaotic situations. As the actual role and perception of cabin crew contradicts each other, it means the instructions and safety briefings given by the cabin crew are often ignored by passengers, thus affecting survival rates and evacuation during emergency situations.
2.
Aiden is an air crash investigator, and he will discuss how the roles of the cabin crew are often underestimated by the passengers on board.
It is true, from observing many previous accidents like these, that when passengers don't understand the true role that the cabin crew on board play, they often put their lives at risk. Flight 418 may well be one of these cases, where the crew was largely ignored by passengers, possibly due to their perception of cabin crew. Onboard footage of this accident, as well as a similar 2016 crash of Emirates Flight 521, both show passengers ignoring the cabin crew's instruction for evacuation. We observed, in ignorance to the crew's instructions, a lot of the passengers reaching for their belongings, which slowed the evacuation process well beyond the recommended 90-second threshold.
Are there any instances where the passengers understood the roles of the cabin crew to ensure safety of the passengers on board?
Most definitely. We've previously observed impressive results on Air France Flight 358, which overran the runway at Toronto Pearson International in 2005. On this flight, all 297 passengers and 12 crew evacuated the burning Airbus A340 within 90 seconds. As a result, all on board survived the accident. This all despite some of the aircraft's evacuation slides not working properly or effectively. As a crash investigator, I feel the industry needs to tackle and improve the perception of these crew in order to improve the safety of our skies, as it will undoubtedly lead to lives being saved in the future.
Now that we understand the roles and perceptions of cabin crew affect safety on board, what kind of measurements should cabin crew take to avoid situations like Flight 418?
If we want a successful evacuation operation, trust is the most critical factor. The trust is not only between the cabin crew and the passengers, but also the flight attendants should trust their training. In order to create that trust, flight attendants should craft carefully the first impression they make on passengers.
Definitely. And during the safety briefing, appropriate eye contact and body gestures should really reinforce the language spoken, while leadership and credibility should be established immediately by confident behaviour of the cabin crew. Because at the end of the day, passengers will only listen to the cabin crew if they are confident and if they are trustworthy.
Good afternoon and welcome to 8 Minutes. Today we are reporting on Oceanic Airline Flight 418 that made headlines around the world. Last week, Flight 418 crash landed on the runway of Sydney Airport, which led to a shocking and unacceptable evacuation time of 300 seconds. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau is currently conducting an in-depth investigation. One contributing factor to the safety of the passengers that is often overlooked is the role of the cabin crew. Today, we invite Robert and Annie, two aviation safety researchers, Natalie and Jason, cabin crew manager and airline safety manager, and later on Aiden, air crash investigator. They will give us an insight of the contradictions between the cabin crew's role and the passenger's perception of the cabin crew's role.